Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather for next week to 10 days. For today's video, it's going to take us to around the 29th of November. So we're heading in towards the final stages of the month now with the week to 10 day video updates. And of course we're in a colder situation now. We've got the high pressure in over Scandinavia. We're bringing in easterly winds, probably bring back memories of the beach from the east. Of course, this is a very different east, it's nowhere near as cold, and it's going to be relatively short-lived as well, I think. So by the end of the week, we should start to see I wouldn't necessarily say milder air, but it won't be as cold, I don't think, in the second half of the week. Certainly with wind, as it is at the moment. Rather complicated weather patterns, though, over the next week to 10 days. Lots of high pressure sort of meandering around to our north, so creating complications. And I'll talk you through what's going on with the weather patterns in a moment, but there is a lot of uncertainty still from around the end of the week or weekend onwards and through into the closing days of the month. So I'll talk you through everything that's going on with that in a moment. Just got to give a mention to our latest donors. So we've had two donations very kindly from Mark Robertson and Andrew Watson. Big thank you to Mark and to Andrew for their very kind donations for Gas Others via PayPal. So if you would like to give a donation to Gas Others via PayPal, this is how you do it. You come to the Gas Others.me PayPal page, and I'm on that page right now. We linked this and all pages at Gas Others and in the description at YouTube. So you just come to this page, you sign into your PayPal account and then donate whatever amount of money you would like to donate to Gas Others. And a big thank you to all of the donors. All of the donors for Gas Others. I've also got a new patron, so we're up to 43 patrons now. So I've got to say a big thank you to our latest patron. So our latest patron is Philip Mafaru. Hope I pronounced that okay. Philip Mafaru has become the 43rd patron for Gas Others. And a big thank you to Philip for becoming our latest patron. If you would like to join Philip and become a patron for Gas Others, and again, all you need to do is come to the Gas Others patron page. I'm on that page right now. Again, we link to this in all the pages of Gas Others and in the description at YouTube. Just come here, sign up for a patron account, and then the idea of this is that's like an ongoing donation, although you can cancel it at any time, but it's an ongoing donation. Anything from $1 a month upwards will mean that you become a patron for Gas Others. So there's two ways that you can donate, either through Patreon or through PayPal. Big thank you to everybody for doing that for Gas Others. It's helping us to pay for our website. So big thank you to all the patrons and all of the donors. The Christmas shop is still open, so you've got any Christmas shop to do at Amazon between now and Christmas. All you need to do is go to Christmas shop page, and then from there there's an Amazon search widget which you can search out any item that you would like to buy for Christmas. Alternatively, you can click through the Amazon banners, go from Gas Others to Amazon, and then from there you just do your Christmas shopping as normal. Not doing anything different. It's just purely the fact we've gone from Gas Others to Amazon. That means we get a revenue fee on the things that you are purchasing for Christmas. So a big thank you to all of you for doing your shopping through Amazon. Big thank you to all of the donors. Big thank you to all of the patrons for Gas Others. So we're going to start off today's video by just having a look at this chart. Been featuring this in the winter updates. Just wanted to show you the latest. This is from weatheriscool.com. So this is showing us how the zonal winds are faring through this season and what the models are forecasting the zonal winds over North Pole to do through the rest of the winter. So this blue line just here shows that we've been fairly strong actually with the zonal winds since kind of like the start of November anyway, or start of October. This is where we are right now on this dash line just here, so that's kind of like November, and that's December just there. You see in the next couple of weeks the GFS samples with these green lines are forecasting a weakening of the zonal winds in the next couple of weeks. And the CFS V2 indicated by these coloured lines of pink, free pink and one blue line. They're still doing this crash, most of them. 3 out of 4 anyway, still doing this crash with the zona winds through the middle of December, which is very unusual for that to happen. Normally you would start to crash, or you would expect the crash in the zona winds to happen much later in the winter, in January, or probably even more likely in February too. It does appear that the CFS is very keen to produce some sort of stratospheric warming event over the North Pole in December, which is really lowering the strength of the zona winds through December. So it's still going for that idea, and it is a very, very consistent idea within the CFS output at the moment. CFS run 4 times a day. Of course, we're regularly seeing 3 out of the 4 CFS runs going for some sort of dramatic weakening of the zona winds over the North Pole through December. Of course, if the zona winds do weaken very dramatically over North Pole, that will allow, or it could allow, northern blocking to start getting going over the top of the pole, and blocking is the route to get the cold air out of pole and down into the mid-latitude. So mid-December, it's one to watch. Is the CFS right with this? We'll find out in around a month's time. So these are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from the Penn State University. We've got the ECMWF here on top, and the GFS is on the bottom. 500 millibars, and ground speeds is area in the absolute high pressure and low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. Red extrapolates high pressure, blue extrapolates to low pressure. So in the 7 to 10 day time frame, we see that the ECMWF is placing a large area of above average heights, indicated by those red colours, to the north of the British Isles, and then there's low pressure out in the middle of the Atlantic down there. So you've got the jet stream coming through here. It's very complicated pattern. Jet stream's coming through something like that. And of course, the blocking is trying to bring cold air out of the pole and down into Europe. Now, there is a surge of really cold air moving into the west of Russia with this through here. So that's bringing some really cold air through there with that trough just there. The ridge, though, where we've got this area of high pressure to really open the door to that cold air for us, this ridge needs to be more like centred here. So you want the ridge centred there, and then this low pressure, this trough, would back westwards into central and then western parts of Europe, and you'd open the door to those northerly winds. So again, it's still this idea. We've got this area of high pressure sitting to our north, trying to fend off the Atlantic, and it's a case of which way is this going to go. Is the blocking going to hold on? Will it perhaps even strengthen and move towards Greenland, or will the Atlantic eventually break it down and we go into a westerly phase? Very uncertain at the moment which way this is going as we come to the end of November and the start of December. GFS is looking like this. So the trough, that cold trough, is further westwards into northern parts of Europe. So that is actually bringing a surge of cold air down through Scandinavia from the Arctic, also covering western parts of Russia as well. The ridge is also that little bit further westwards towards Greenland again. But we still have this area of low pressure underneath it. So it's still just not lining up quite correctly to turn us properly cold. So we've got the low pressure under there, trying to bring those westerlies in from off the Atlantic. We've got the high pressure blocking around Greenland to the north of the UK and trying to get wind in from a north or northeasterly direction. So it's a very, very complicated pattern. It's a very subtle pattern. Only very slight adjustments are going to make quite a big difference to how much of this cold air is going to hold on. But of course, the real cold air, the real Arctic Siberian air, is over here with this trough. So that's where the real surge of cold air is at the moment. It doesn't look like we're going to get that to the west of Europe. But again, we would only need to make subtle adjustments, and then that cold air with that trough would start backing westwards a little bit. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles, really highlighting the uncertainty that we've got coming up. So at the moment, we're colder than average. We've got this easterly wind established, and that's going to be staying with us for the next 2 or 3 days. So there will definitely be a chill to the air. We go through to the end of the week and the weekend. We lift those temperatures back up towards the red line. Red line, by the way, is a 30-year upper air temperature average. You're looking at Boston in Lincolnshire today. So we lift the temperature back up towards average at the end of the week and over the weekend. And then beyond that, as we get through to next week and then on to the start of December, that period just there, that's when we've got all of this uncertainty. Now, I think this particular ensemble suite, the 6 o'clock run, has probably trended a little bit colder through these final days of November into start of December. There are now quite a few ensemble members that are really dipping down to quite a low level, between -5 -10 at 850 HPA. But then we can't discount these other ensemble members up here that are keeping things much milder. So a real split with the GFS ensembles as we go through to the final days of November and into the start of December. Really uncertain conditions. As far as precipitation is concerned, a fair amount of dry weather in the next 2 or 3 days. But as we get through to the weekend and on to next week, it looks like it's turning more unsettled as well. So more unsettled, but with great uncertainty in terms of the temperature, and I would assume the overall weather pattern as well. Obviously, if it's turning more unsettled, low pressure is going to have more of an influence, but the position of that low pressure will be the critical factors to how much cold air we allow to come down from the north. Temperature anomalies for next week, going from the 19th to 27th of November, are looking like that. And overall, it's a little bit colder than average for the UK, for Ireland, for much of France as well, actually. So yeah, we've got a slight colder than average week coming up. Not particularly significantly cold. As I say, this isn't a beast from the east type easterly, but it's a little bit colder than what we've had for quite a while. It has been a very mild first half to November, of course. Precipitation anomalies are still looking dry from the 19th to 27th of November, still coming out drier than average. You can expect those to trend wetter if that ensemble chart we're just looking at, this one just here, if that's right, you can expect these precipitation anomalies to trend wetter through the week, so that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Right, so here we go with the general charts then. So this is how the GFS is looking for Thursday, when we've got high pressure still blocking there to our north. It's ridging from Scandinavia through to Iceland and south of Greenland. Low pressure is underneath it down here, really not too far away from being quite cold, that. And again, we've got this trough up across sort of northern Russia, and that's where the real cold air is surging down into up there around those sort of blue and purple colours. Now we go through to the end of the week and next weekend, and we're looking like that. So still pretty blocked for next weekend. Still got high pressure centering itself around Iceland and to the south of Greenland as well. Low pressure is underneath it in the middle of the Atlantic, going through something like that. Again, cold air is surging down into the north of Scandinavia with that deep trough there. That really isn't all that far away from pulling down some very cold air into much of Europe, but again, it just isn't lined up quite right to do that. We go through to Sunday and then on into the start of next week. You start to move these areas of low pressure in from off the Atlantic. Still quite a block seen up over Greenland, you'll notice. Still all this cold air lurking up here, but we've got these areas of low pressure out in the Atlantic, and they're starting to move our way from off the Atlantic coast. So beginning to turn more unsettled in around a week's time, which of course we saw on the GFS ensembles. We go up towards day 10, turning increasingly settled with low pressure moving in off the Atlantic. That's bringing bouts of heavy rain. You'll see still relatively high pressure though up to the north. This is quite an unusual pattern. Really, the jet stream is on a southerly track down here. We've got low pressure coming in from the Atlantic. We have got quite a surge of cold air as well coming down into Scandinavia there. So as that low pressure exits away into the North Sea, by the end of the month, this is Friday 30th of November, just a little bit beyond day 10, we're having a go at putting down some properly cold air. Now, on this particular GFS run, it doesn't really come to a great deal. Most of it is restricted over Scandinavia. But again, very slight, very subtle adjustments will make this quite a lot colder. We finish up, though, bringing up this long fetch southwesterly on Friday, 5th of November. So that's genuinely turning a lot milder and trying to get itself back into a more normalised pattern, really. But blocking is reduced a lot around Greenland now. We're strengthening the polar vortex, seemingly, around Greenland. We've got this ridge across France, and so that's trying to get us back into kind of like our default setup, which is west southwesterly. This is a parallel run of the GFS, so that's the operational. This is going to be the upgraded operational run of the GFS next year. At the moment, they're running this in parallel with the operational GFS. So, again, quite a block scene up to the weekend. Lots of high pressure sitting to our north. These areas of low pressure trying to head in from off the Atlantic, but not moving in with a great deal of conviction. But as we go into more extended range, again, everything gets a bit of a boost in the Atlantic. It starts to get a little bit more buoyancy in it. So as we get through to day 10, which is Thursday the 29th of November, again low pressure just out to our west, bringing quite a lot of wind and rain in from off the Atlantic. In a more extended range, again building the heights to the south, to the southwest, lowering the heights around Greenland. Not a very good sign for anyone that wants cold weather to see purple colours turning up there. That's a strengthening of the polar vortex beginning to take place in the early part of December, which would start to really ramp up activity in the Atlantic. But again, that's a really long way out. That's 384 hours away, so very unreliable. The ECMWF is looking like this. So again, we've got this high pressure to our northeast at the end of the week. That's still there into the weekend. We head up towards Sunday, which is Sunday 25th of November, still with quite a lot of blocking going on up here around Greenland and backing into Scandinavia as well. Low pressure is underneath it in the middle of the Atlantic, but I think the blocking is just that little bit stronger, really, with the ECMWF. Up to the weekend anyway, just holding off those areas of low pressure that little bit more. So I think this is slightly colder for the weekend and into the start of next week as well. That's how we look at day 10, with the high pressure just starting to get pushed back in towards eastern parts of Europe as these areas of low pressure are battling to get in. Again, it will only take a very slight adjustment for that high pressure to still be holding on and potentially start to bring in some colder air from the north or from the northeast too. GEM looks like this, so once more we've got lots of blocking going on to our north at the end of the week and into next weekend as well. Blocking is out a little bit stronger again, so we've got the GFS, which is the weakest model I think out of the three with the blocking. Then we've got the ECM, which is a little bit stronger, and then we've got the GM, which is a little bit stronger still. So we get this big area of high pressure sitting around Iceland and Greenland on Sunday. The low pressures are further south in the Atlantic, so it could be that actually on that scenario we have quite a dry weekend next weekend. Probably not all that much rain at all, except maybe down in the very far south and southwest. And quite chilly easterly winds are continuing. And in the more extended range also, this blocking remains a lot stronger. So we're going into next week and we're surging cold air down across Scandinavia. And moving down into central parts of Europe as well. That's winter digging in for northern and central parts of Europe, with this blocking out to our northwest, fending off this area of low pressure just here. So the GM is the coldest solution out of the three models today. That's how we finish up at day 10. So still quite blocked even at day 10 around Greenland actually, and still very cold up over Scandinavia around here. This area of low pressure in the Atlantic's having a go to start moving in milder winds. So which way that would go, I'm not sure. It's possible that the energy would run under there and we continue to bring in this cold air from the east. Alternatively, we could potentially start to push up milder air from the southwest. So it's a very subtle, very complicated pattern that we've got here. We have got a blocking pattern. We are in a blocking pattern. This blocking is going to continue certainly for the next week and possibly even beyond that. Are a few signs that by the beginning of November, the blocking is, beginning of December I should say, the blocking is going away and we're strengthening the polar vortex around Greenland, which would be a bad sign if you want cold weather. That's a really long way off. That's like 2 weeks away. And in the next week to 10 days, we're still in a blocking pattern. We're just not lining things up quite right to pull down particularly cold air with this blocking. So We're just going to wait and see how this is going to play out. I still don't think, and again, going back to the GFS ensemble chart, I don't think the models still have a real handle on where this is going in sort of days 7, 8, 9, 10. So expect more changes, I would have thought, in the days ahead. Finally, just have a look at CFS V2 for the next month. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period takes us from the 19th to the 25th of November, with above average heights sitting to our north and below average heights out in the Atlantic. The jet stream's going down there, and we're bringing in an easterly wind, but of course it isn't a particularly cold easterly wind. Although there's a definite chill to the air out there today, and will be for the next few days as well. Week 2 is the 26th of November to 2nd of December, with low pressure heading in from off the Atlantic. Here it comes. We've still got quite a strong blocking signal though up to our north around the south of Greenland. Also got quite a bit of high pressure to our south. So the jet stream's coming through there. Jet stream's moving northwards. So this is unsettled and probably a bit milder as we go into the final days of November and the first days of December. Then we're up to week 3, which is the 3rd to the 9th of December. The above average heights then are sitting just out to our southwest. Below average heights to the northeast. So that's probably doing something like that, the flow, and with the jet stream, that one could be a relatively mild but fairly settled start to December. And then we go through to week 4, which does look quite interesting. This is the 10th to the 16th of December. We've got high pressure returning, or above average heights returning to Iceland, with below average heights to our east. All looks a bit flimsy, but potentially we might be pulling in some colder air from the northeast there, particularly if this high pressure here was to start reaching towards that high pressure up over top of the Arctic. Then we would be in a very, very blocked situation, because we would have like an area of high pressure covering that whole area. And with below average heights to our east, that would definitely be pulling down cold air from a northeasterly direction. So that finishes up quite interesting by the time we get to the middle of December. That's a really long way out, though, and we know there's uncertainty as early as kind of like a week or so away, so I don't think we need to worry about that too much. So for the next few days, well, we've got the cold easterly at the moment. That's going to continue up to the middle part of the week. I mean, maybe a little bit of winteriness with that, particularly over high ground, but showers with this east wind are primarily on low ground, and around the coast going to be of rain. In the second half of the week, we go into this rather complicated pattern of low pressure just to our southwest, but still with a blocking signal. And then where we go beyond that, it looks like the Atlantic is going to try to ramp itself up a little bit as we go to sort of day 10. But at the same time, it's still quite a blocking signal there. So again, expect more changes around day 7, 8, 9, 10 in the model output over the next few days. No sign of anything very cold at the moment, but we did see a lot of scatter by the end of November with GFS ensembles. We are seeing a lot of scatter between those ensemble members, so might turn very mild. It could go quite a bit colder by the end of the month still, so we're going to have to wait and see how this is going to play out, and I will be updating you throughout the week. Terry Scully's winter forecast will be with you tonight. So that'll be around 7 o'clock. So have a look at that at Gazweather's. And tomorrow, of course, we're going to have the ECMWF 30-day look ahead. That'll be updated tomorrow, and your regular week to 10-day video update as well. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.